Stop scrolling. If you're still watching this, it's because something inside you just recognized the truth you've been searching for. You know that feeling when people stare at you but say absolutely nothing? When their eyes lock onto you, yet their mouth stays completely silent? I'm about to reveal the spiritual reason why this keeps happening to you. And by the end of this video, you'll never question yourself again. But here's the thing, this message isn't for everyone. If you feel uncomfortable right now, you'll leave. But if you're meant to hear this, you'll stay, because the universe guided you here at the exact perfect moment. Have you noticed it? The way entire conversations pause the second you walk into a room. How people watch your every move with this intense focus, but never say a word. You can feel their eyes burning into you, analyzing you, studying you, yet complete silence. It's been driving you crazy, hasn't it? Making you wonder what's wrong with you. Well, stop right there. Because what I'm about to tell you will completely flip your perspective and bring you the peace you've been desperately searching for. If this is already resonating with your soul, type 777 in the comments right now. This simple act sends a signal to the universe that you're ready to embrace your truth and stop apologizing for who you are. Listen very carefully. What's happening to you isn't coincidence. It's not in your head. It's not paranoia. There is an invisible frequency radiating from you that other people can feel but cannot understand. You carry an energy signature that was placed upon you through everything you've survived, everything you've overcome, every silent battle you've fought alone. This frequency doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream for attention. But it's so powerful that it literally changes the atmosphere when you enter a space. That's why you can walk into a room without saying a single word, without doing anything unusual, and people immediately notice. You didn't perform. You didn't try to stand out. You were just existing. But something shifted. The energy changed. And whether they realize it consciously or not, people feel it. Now pay attention, because this is where it gets deep. People don't always stare at you because they admire you. Sometimes they stare because your presence disturbs something inside them. You interrupt patterns they're comfortable with. Without even trying, you bring order into their chaos. You bring calm into their noise. You carry a stillness that unsettles people who live in constant internal panic. And this wasn't something you learned from a book. This was forged inside you through pressure, through isolation, through painful experiences that forced you to grow in the dark. Your presence speaks before your mouth ever opens. It communicates authenticity. It communicates self-control. It communicates depth. Most people aren't used to being around someone who doesn't leak desperation into the room. Think about it. Most people walk into spaces needing validation. They need to be noticed. They need approval. They talk too fast. They explain themselves constantly. They fill every silence because silence terrifies them. But you're completely different. You're comfortable being still. You have an anchor inside you that most people don't possess. And that anchor creates serious tension for people who live emotionally scattered, reactive lives. That's exactly why the staring comes with silence. They're trying to figure you out. They're trying to place you into a category that makes sense. But you don't fit. You're not loud enough to dismiss. You're not weak enough to overlook. And you're not familiar enough to control. So what do? They observe. They watch. They stay silent. And right here, I need you to let this truth heal something deep inside you. The silence you've been receiving is not rejection. It's not disrespect. It's recognition mixed with confusion. Your spirit carries a type of authority that doesn't ask for permission. And authority makes people pause. It makes them think twice before they speak. It makes them cautious, even when they have no idea why. There are people who sense that you see more than you say, that you understand more than you reveal. When someone realizes they cannot easily read you, they instinctively slow down. They observe. They go quiet. Not because you threaten them, but because something in them feels exposed when they're in your presence. So I need you to stop. Stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. Stop dimming your light so they can feel better about their darkness. You are not meant to apologize for what's been placed inside you. The discomfort you trigger in certain people isn't cruelty on your part. It's contrast. Light doesn't apologize for exposing what darkness tried to hide. This invisible mark on you also attracts very specific attention. Some people stare because they feel safe near you. They can't explain it logically, but something in your calm energy steadies their chaos. Others stare because they feel judged, not by you but by their own conscience. Your presence holds up a mirror to their life. And some people stare because they recognize strength that doesn't need to prove itself. Quiet confidence is rare. Real power doesn't need to shout. You need to learn how to sit peacefully in this reality. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you carry yourself the way you do. You were shaped deliberately by every experience, every betrayal, every disappointment, every moment you had to stand alone. Pressure refined you, silence matured you, misunderstanding strengthened you. And now, when you walk through this world, the residue of that entire process goes with you. You're not intimidating because you're aggressive. You're unsettling because you're grounded in a world full of people pretending to have it together. You're not watched because you're weird. You're watched because you're rare. Stability in a broken, chaotic world feels foreign to most people. And here's something powerful. This invisible mark you carry also serves as divine protection. It creates distance without you having to be hostile. It limits access without you having to enforce boundaries aggressively. Some doors close in people's faces simply because your presence reminds them they cannot manipulate you. You don't need to fix this. What's been placed on you is completely intentional. It will attract who's meant to come close and naturally repel who isn't. So the next time you notice the stares and the silence, breathe calmly. Don't tense up. Don't spiral into self-doubt. Don't rush to fill the awkward quiet. Let them observe. Let them feel whatever's rising inside them. Your assignment is not to manage their reactions. Your assignment is to remain aligned with who you are. Now let's go deeper. Not every stare comes from confusion. Some come from soul-level recognition. And recognition, when mixed with fear, almost always produces silence. Spirit recognizes spirit before the logical mind can process what's happening. This recognition doesn't need language. It happens quietly, instantly, deeply the moment you encounter certain people. Something inside them senses you're not ordinary. And that moment of sensing creates a pause. Most people live on autopilot, just reacting to whatever happens. So when they suddenly feel something they cannot control or explain, they freeze. They stare because they're processing something their spirit detected, but their mind hasn't categorized yet. When spirit recognizes spirit, it completely bypasses intellect. It simply knows. And knowing without understanding creates hesitation in people who aren't spiritually mature. They feel reverence toward you but have no idea why. They sense authority but cannot name it. They recognize weight but have zero reference point for it. This is why some people become nervous around you even though you've done nothing to threaten them. It's about the frequency you operate on. Your spirit functions at a different level, and that disrupts their usual patterns of interaction. If this is making sense, and you can feel the truth of these words, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future messages designed specifically for people like you. Fear also plays a massive role. Not fear of harm, but fear of exposure. People who live behind masks sense that you see through pretense. People who rely on manipulation sense you cannot be controlled. People who run from truth sense you naturally carry it. All of that creates internal discomfort that shows up as silence. You've probably noticed this pattern. Some people are drawn to you while others pull back without explanation. The ones who pull back aren't necessarily bad people. They're just not aligned. Their spirit recognizes what your presence demands: honesty, integrity, depth, and they're not ready for that level of engagement. You are not responsible for making people comfortable with their own truth. You're not obligated to make yourself smaller so others feel bigger. You carry a spiritual frequency for a purpose, and part of that purpose includes disrupting comfort zones that have become prisons. When spirit recognizes spirit, it also reveals intention. Some stay quiet because they know their motives wouldn't survive your discernment. Some stay quiet, calculating how to approach you. Some wait to see if you're as solid as you appear. Silence becomes a test, and you pass it by remaining unbothered. You need to release the need to interpret every stare, justify every silence. Not everything requires analysis. Some things are simply evidence that something has been placed upon you that others feel but cannot fully comprehend. This recognition works in reverse too. There are people whose spirit you recognize instantly. You feel safe immediately, or cautious without knowing why. That's your spirit communicating. Trust it. Don't override it with logic. Discernment is not unkind. It's protective. Understanding this changes everything. The tension you feel in certain rooms isn't imaginary. You're not paranoid, sensing someone's inauthenticity. Your spirit is reading frequencies your mind hasn't processed into words yet. So many aware people have been gaslit into doubting their discernment. People told you that you were judgmental when you were discerning. They told you that you were cold when you were protecting yourself. They convinced you that boundaries made you unkind, when boundaries are the kindest thing you can do. But remember this: your ability to sense what others cannot is not a flaw. It's a feature. It's part of your spiritual wiring. The more you honor it instead of explaining it away, the stronger it becomes. Now shift your perspective. The silence you've been interpreting as something done to you is actually something done for you. The universe is using other people's silence to teach you lessons you'd never learn any other way. Silence teaches you self-reliance. When people don't affirm you, you stop seeking external validation. When people don't explain themselves, you stop trying to control perceptions. When people don't engage, you learn to be complete without their input. Many of you were conditioned to believe that silence means something is wrong. You were taught that if people aren't speaking, you must have offended them. You were trained to fill quiet spaces with apologies and explanations. But this season is breaking that conditioning. Silence also teaches you discernment. Without constant conversation, you notice patterns. You see who approaches with genuine intent. You see who only comes when they need something. You see who respects boundaries and who tests them. Silence is not punishment. It's preparation. You're being trained to carry influence without being influenced. To walk in authority without needing constant reinforcement. To be content in solitude, so you're never desperate in community. There's a maturity that only silence can produce. When you stop needing people to speak, you hear divine guidance more clearly. When you stop filling gaps with noise, you notice what noise was covering. When you stop performing for approval, you operate from purpose. Silence has also revealed who is truly for you. The people who remained present during your quiet seasons. The people who didn't demand explanations. The people who honored your process without needing to understand it. Those are your people. Silence filtered out the rest. The silence surrounding you now is creating space for the right voices to enter later. The room is being cleared. Distractions are being removed. You're being protected from premature connections that would slow what's being built inside you. Now here's something you need to understand about yourself. The power you carry is not something you created. It was placed inside you, growing quietly without your full awareness. This is why people react before you speak. This is why your presence alone shifts atmospheres. Real power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need volume or validation. It simply exists. And existence alone is enough to be felt. You've been carrying this quietly. Many didn't realize it until people started reacting. The stares aren't always curiosity. Sometimes it's assessment. People are subconsciously measuring whether you're a threat or ally, whether you'll challenge their comfort or reinforce it, whether you can be controlled or operate independently. Sit with this truth. You make people think twice. You make people reconsider their approach. You make people aware of themselves in unaccustomed ways. That's not arrogance. That's the effect of carrying authenticity in a world of pretense. Your power also lies in restraint. You don't need to prove anything. You don't constantly defend yourself. You don't explain your choices to people who wouldn't understand anyway. That restraint separates you from those who perform power but don't possess it. Many of you have been afraid of your own strength. You were taught that being powerful makes you intimidating. You were told that confidence equals arrogance. You were conditioned to shrink so others could expand. But that lie is being dismantled. Your power is not meant to be hidden. It's meant to be stewarded. Here's where many struggle. You don't want to make others uncomfortable, so you dampen what was amplified. You don't want to stand out, so you blend in. You don't want to seem proud, so you undervalue what you carry. But none of that serves purpose. It only serves fear. The power you carry is not for dominance. It's for deliverance. Not for control, but for covering. Not for show, but for service. But you cannot serve powerfully if you're constantly apologizing for your strength. People will always have opinions about your power. Some will celebrate it. Some will fear it. Some will try to diminish it. Your job is not managing their reactions. Your job is remaining obedient to what you're called to carry. Now I want to speak to the part of you that feels obligated to explain yourself constantly. The part that feels guilty when misunderstood. The part that wants to clarify and defend every choice. Release that burden right now. You do not owe anyone an explanation for how the universe is moving in your life. You don't owe anyone access to your process. You don't owe anyone a breakdown of your decisions. Some things stay between you and the divine. That boundary is sacred. Many of you were trained to believe silence equals secrecy, and secrecy equals shame. So you over-explain, you share more than necessary, you give details to people who didn't earn the right to your inner world. Every time you do that, you weaken the boundaries you were told to build. Silence is not withholding, it's protecting. It protects your peace from unnecessary opinions. It protects your vision from premature criticism. It protects your energy from people who want to debate what's already been confirmed. When you stop explaining yourself, people stop feeling entitled to explanations. When you stop defending your choices, people stop attacking them. When you stop seeking approval, people stop withholding it as leverage. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming discerning. You share with those proven trustworthy. You open to those who honor what you reveal. You explain to those genuinely seeking understanding, not ammunition. There's freedom in letting people wonder. There's power in allowing curiosity without satisfying it. There's wisdom in keeping certain things close until the right time. The people meant to walk with you will understand, even when you don't explain. The people meant to support you will trust your process even without seeing the full picture. The people aligned with your assignment will respect your boundaries without demanding access. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop explaining, you stop exhausting yourself. You stop wasting energy on conversations that lead nowhere. You stop repeating yourself to people who were never going to understand. You reclaim your peace. So next time someone stares at you in silence, don't rush to fill the gap. Let them sit with their curiosity. Let them process their confusion. Let them wonder. You're not obligated to make sense to everyone. You're only obligated to follow your path. Now listen with a calm heart, because this is where hope replaces tension. The silence you're experiencing is not permanent. It's seasonal. And every divinely designed season has an expiration date. A shift is coming. You can already feel it quietly forming beneath the surface. The same people who once watched without words will not always remain silent. The difference is not that you'll change who you are. The difference is that what's being formed in you will complete, and clarity will replace uncertainty. Right now many don't know what to say, because they can't yet understand where you fit. They sense potential, depth, direction, but it hasn't fully manifested in visible form. People speak confidently about what they can define. They stay silent around what's still unfolding. But unfolding never stays hidden forever. There comes a moment when preparation becomes evident, when consistency becomes undeniable, when the quiet strength you've carried begins producing visible fruit. When that happens, interaction tones shift. Those who once stared cautiously will speak with respect. Those who stayed distant will approach with questions. Those who underestimated will recalibrate their words, not because you demanded it, but because truth matured. This is how you're protected from premature praise and premature criticism. If people spoke too soon, their opinions would shape you. If they judged too early, their misunderstanding would discourage you. Silence keeps you free, while the work completes. Understand something healing here. The silence you experience now is evidence that your life is not yet fully explainable to others. And that's a gift. Your story is still being written. Interruptions are minimized, so the narrative stays intact. Many of you are closer to recognition than you realize. But recognition doesn't arrive loudly at first. It arrives as subtle shifts, a change in how people look at you, a change in how they address you, a pause before they speak, not from fear, but from respect. This is when silence transforms. The silence that felt uncomfortable becomes the silence of attentiveness. If you're feeling this shift beginning, declare it. Comment 777 below, and let the universe know you're ready to step into this new season with clarity, confidence, and divine alignment. You'll know this shift has arrived when you no longer feel the need to interpret reactions, when peace replaces analysis, when you stop wondering what people think because it no longer controls you. Those who were never meant to walk with you will slowly drift as clarity increases. Those who are aligned will step forward naturally. You won't need to recruit them. Encounters will be divinely arranged. This is where humility must guard your heart. When people begin speaking differently, don't let pride replace peace. Recognition is not the goal. Alignment is. Recognition is simply the byproduct of sustained obedience. Some will notice people who once ignored you now seek your opinion. Some who spoke over you now listen quietly. Some who avoided you now ask how you think. That shift is not about superiority. It's about credibility earned through consistency. Don't rush the shift. Don't force conversation. Don't announce your growth. Let it reveal itself naturally. There's perfect timing for when visibility becomes safe. This next season will feel lighter. Not because life becomes easier, but because your inner world becomes steadier. You'll speak when necessary, remain silent when wise, and move without anxiety. The staring will decrease, the confusion will settle, and the silence will evolve into clarity. When people finally speak, it will be different. Their tone will change. Their posture will change. Their words will carry respect, even if they don't fully understand you. That's when you'll realize something powerful. The silence was never meant to make you doubt yourself. It was meant to prepare you for the weight of being heard. Stay patient, stay aligned, stay grounded. The shift is coming, and when it arrives you'll recognize it not by noise but by peace. Let your mind rest here. Everything you've been experiencing now has a name, a purpose, and a divine reason. People stare at you and say nothing. Not because you're lacking, not because you're strange, and not because you're failing. They stare because something in you carries weight. And weight always slows a room down. You were never meant to chase words from people still trying to understand themselves. Silence surrounded you, so your spirit could grow strong without distraction. Observation without explanation came, so you would learn stability, restraint, and inner authority. Nothing was wasted. Remember clearly, You're not late. You're not behind. You're not overlooked. You're being prepared. And preparation often looks quiet to the outside world. You don't need to change who you are for acceptance. You don't need to explain what's happening in you. You don't need to react to every stare or fill every silence. Your assignment is simple. Stay aligned. Stay grounded. Be still. Conversations you're not meant to have yet are being handled. Mouths that would speak too early are being closed. You're being protected from noise that would disturb your peace. Trust that. If this message spoke to your spirit, give this video a like so it can reach others who need to hear this. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss messages designed for your journey. Share this with someone who needs this clarity today. And finally, comment 777 below as a declaration that you are divinely protected, spiritually aligned, and walking calmly in your assignment. Let that number signal to the universe and yourself that you're ready to embrace who you were created to be without apology. Be still. More is happening than you can see. The silence is not rejection, it's redirection. The stares are not judgment, they're recognition. And the shift you've been waiting for is already in motion. Walk in peace, walk in power, walk in purpose. You are exactly where you need to be. Together we rise.